Alright, hello everybody, and welcome back to Battlebots What If. Been a long while since we did one of these episodes. It's been like December or January or some shit. But yeah, with me here I got my boy Green Square, G Square, and S Doctor. How you two doing today?
Pretty well. Yeah, I went with my friends to go see Spider-Man No Way Home as there's a free showing of it here on campus, so we had to take advantage of that. How's it going, Civilian Arc and Spin?
Yeah, how you doing, Spam?
Pretty great. I got a pizza today.
Ooh, that's awesome.
What kind of pizzas do you got?
Domino's. We got a
Ah,
Hawaiian and with
nice.
cheese.
I
Nice.
got one question for you, Spin. Does pineapple go on pizza?
Oh god,
Now here's the thing, okay?
Oh god.
It is an acidic fruit, but like the base of a pizza is acidic fruit. Tomato is a fruit, okay? So if you're saying pineapple doesn't belong on pizza, like I think by extension you would say, I think just because both tomato and a pineapple are acidic fruits, they're kind of clumped in the same category. So if you're gonna allow tomato, you should allow a pineapple.
I agree. I do think pineapple should go on pizza, but quite a few of my friends at college disagree with me on that.
I just don't know why you would go for a fucking pineapple on a piece of pizza over anything else.
My brother is
I'm picky
weird.
when it comes to pizza toppings, as I don't.
Oh, so am I.
There
Like,
aren't many toppings I like on my
like
pizza.
I'll
Like
only
most of
gun.
the time, I get like a plain cheese pizza, but yeah, like Canadian bacon and pineapple hits the spot pretty well for me.
But I'm doing fine myself. I hit up the Amazon shop today, and I got myself an Endgame versus Witch Doctor T-shirt. Pretty sick T-shirt.
Yeah,
Two of my favorite butts ever in the competition. And me and Green's bots in our at PFPs. So yeah, so we're gonna do another bracket in What If. This will be the last bracket we do for a while. After this, we're going on to the Bugglebots episode I was planning on doing. We kind of delayed it for a bit. I won't give any reason why. We kind of just did. But yeah. But in this one, we're going to talk about what would happen if the 2021 bots that lost in the first round moved on to the second round. And yeah. Now you can see some bots made it to the not round of 16, but quarterfinals. Lucky and Gigabyte both got buys. Ribot technically got a buy as well, as originally when I made this bracket it was supposed to fight Defender, but since it's a rematch I just said fuck it and gave it to Ribot, so it'll fight Mad Catter. So yeah, but yeah, Lucky would fight Mammoth in this thing, which I'm pretty sure all of us would say Lucky would beat Mammoth again.
what are you talking about? Mammoth would totally win in a rematch.
Oh.
I think it's gonna be closer. I don't think it's I don't think it's gonna be like, oh, Lucky claps. No, I don't think it would be like that. But I do think Lucky has the advantage.
Yeah, I personally would say Lucky as well. Like pretty much exactly what Spin just said,
Yeah.
and stuff. Because yeah.
And then Gigabyte was supposed to fight Captain Shredderator, but there was some controversy before I started recording saying that Captain Shredderator could beat Gigabyte in a rematch. Which, I mean, it's definitely possible. I'm not saying that Captain Shredderator couldn't, but I kind of just gave Gigabyte the buy like a few hours ago, and I didn't feel like re-editing it. So yeah. So yeah, and so yeah, here are our bots that are going to be fighting for the sixth and final championship for a while, and we're going to do something special by the end of after the bracket, where I'll let you all know what it is by the end. I told Green and Spin this, but y'all don't know.
Remind me what that is right now.
It's the sixth champ thing.
No, I know. I
Oh.
was just
Oh, you made me
pulling you in towards revealing that.
Wow. Okay. So we start our bracket off with Malice versus Bloodsport, the red and black spinners of the competition. And yeah, both had a very up and down season. Malice had some fun fights against Jackpot and Blacksmith. Bloodsport had some fun fights against Claw Viper and Sub-Zero. Both kind of had somewhat sad losses against Tantrum, Scorpios, and Minotaur, and yeah. But yeah, I asked Bunny going into this because me and Green are in a Instagram group chat with her, and I asked her what spinner configuration she would use against Bloodsport, and I also asked her for Lucky. So if we do predict Malice to beat Malice to beat Bloodsport, that I also have what config she'd go for that. But yeah, Bunny told me she'd go for the drumstick one, which is basically what Malice has used for the last few fights. It's used that against Blacksmith, Jackpot,
not Jackpot,
not Jackpot, but they use
not Jackpot. I believe they used the same weapon they used against Tantrum, I believe, which was the Blackout. I think is what they called it.
Okay. Oh yeah, you're right. So yeah, I'm wrong. That they have, but yeah, that's the one they use the drumstick one against Blacksmith though, right?
Yes, and Scorpios.
Yeah. Okay. So the blade that Malice used against Blacksmith and Scorpios, and Bloodsport. I don't know what blade they'd go with for this since we're not on the Instagram group chat. They're not there.
I feel like they'd probably go for Reach with
a
fight like that.
With a fight like this, I think Reach
I feel they'd probably go for like Bombshell strategy against Tombstone, try to go for the weapon chain, or something like that. And so I would predict, if I predicted something, I'd probably predict the Tri-Bar, or what they went with for the Sub-Zero fight. Hey, because I feel that would give them the best reach between the blades that I know of, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
So, what do you guys have on this fight?
I might as well go then. Okay, so this one would be a difficult one to call for me because I feel Malice has the better weapon between the two. I feel Malice is definitely way more likely to do damage than Bloodsport. Because Bloodsport definitely has a killer horizontal spinner, but I feel it doesn't have the power that Malice's weapon has. Because we have seen Sub-Zero do some serious damage to Whiplash's front plow. They wrecked Sub-Zero pretty badly, and Claw Viper got a pretty big whooping from them. But the damage that Malice did to Blacksmith can not be taken out of consideration, and even Jackpot as well, because Battlebots hit it pretty well, but Jackpot was crab walking at the end of that match. I feel like Malice is way more likely to get the knockout between the two, but the other thing to take into consideration is Malice's weapon reliability is definitely not definitely not as good as Bloodsport's, because it definitely was not consistent. Because their weapon died on the first hit in both the fights with Tantrum and Scorpios, but then it went going for a while in the Jackpot fight, and it went for the entire 3 minutes against Blacksmith. That reliability is why I'm gonna have to go with Bloodsport, unfortunately, as I do love Malice, but that weapon reliability is kind of what's leaning me towards Bloodsport in this one.
Spin, what do you got?
I really want to go Malice, but my problem here is the weapon choice, as Bunny would say, because I feel like the drum might be a better choice, because I think if you're gonna go drumstick versus bar, I feel like the Tri-Bar is gonna get better hits, and I feel like it's gonna win the weapon on weapon contact. But I feel like if Malice went with the regular drum, they might be able to tank hits more and actually get in close and stall the weapon, because Malice is well driven. I think it's better driven than Bloodsport.
Yeah,
they're really aggressive. They're really good at just getting in there and chipping away and just being all up in their face. I think that would help against Bloodsport. I think it might give him an edge, but I don't know how their drumstick would do against Bloodsport, especially in a weapon contact. And I'm not sure if it can take hits as well as their regular drum. So I would say Bloodsport, unless you have something to say about the drumstick beating the Tri-Bar or something like that.
Yeah. Well, my personal opinion is I do think Malice would win this. Here's why. Well, Green is correct about Malice definitely having less weapon reliability than Bloodsport. Something to take in consideration that Bloodsport has been in 3 fights in its career since it had like the new upgraded design in 2020, where its blade has broken. Its blade broke in the Gruff fight, its blade broke in the Lockjaw fight, and its blade broke in. Yeah, the blade broke in the Minotaur fight. I thought it just bent, but it did break as well. So the question is, do I think Malice's weapon is powerful enough to break any piece of Bloodsport off before the weapon dies? I'm going to say yes. I do think Malice's weapon is powerful enough to do that. If it's powerful enough to beat the shit, well, not beat the shit out, but it gave Blacksmith a run for its money. If it's able to do that, I feel like it should be, in theory, be able to beat up Bloodsport. And then, even if it doesn't, David Rush is a really aggressive driver. He's a really underrated driver in the competition, and I feel like he would be able to like get Bloodsport off balance and be able to win the fight by control and aggression. So I would go Malice here, but the tribe has spoken, so Bloodsport moves on.
Ooh, wait a minute.
Ooh, you flip and spin?
I just want to say, I think I'm a flip.
He's flipping!
Is a bias, but like the more I think about it, the more I think the drumstick, like even if like Malice tanks just 2 hits or something like that, if they do get in there, I do think they're gonna take the match because like David Rush is one of my favorite drivers in the sport because I love aggressive driving.
He's great in ARC.
Face, that's gonna create one of the best matches ever. Like Blacksmith versus Malice was just like one of the greatest fights of the season.
Yeah.
All right, and that's partially because of the aggressive driving of David Rush. And just like the more I think about the aggressiveness and like Malice does tank big hits. I mean, like look at the Jackpot fight, and even it did lose and die in the Gigabyte fight. It did tank hits, and this Malice is better. I think even if it is the same Malice, it's probably upgraded in some way.
I'd say slight. I'd say it has some upgrades to it. I'd say.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I think I'll go Malice.
Nice. We got
Though I will admit I'm a little biased.
Green and Bunny's favorite person like in the entire fan page community is Green, so I mean, no shame in that.
She did seem to like spin.
Oh yeah,
when
Malice
she appeared on my podcast.
Bunny did seem to like spin a lot too. So
Yep.
yeah.
Yes. When I mentioned Rotator was my number 2 seed.
Yep.
But yeah, Malice moves on to the quarterfinals where it will take on Lucky. We'll get on to that round once we get to the quarterfinals. So yeah, but moving on to the bottom left side of our round of 16, we got the Battle of the H's, Hijinks versus Hypershock. Hijinks, who had a weak start to its season, taking a loss to Mammoth, but then came back to it, gave us a controversial win against Kraken, and then beat up Sub-Zero. And then Hypershock got debatably... Well, I probably wouldn't say their best season. I'd say their 2019 season impressed me a bit more, in my opinion. But I'd say this is definitely second best season they've had. Hypershock went 2-0 in the regular season, beating out Lockjaw and Slamo. But then it took a somewhat controversial defeat to P1. So, yeah, I feel like this would be a really fun fight just because of how much both bots have improved their reliability this season. You know, like, Hijinks wasn't the toppest tier out there in the... Oh, Mantine's here! Let's go!
Hey.
He's
comment on Malice versus Bloodsport, isn't he?
Mantine, what's your opinion on us putting Malice over Bloodsport?
You're joking, right?
No.
Wow. That is the worst take I've heard in a while.
Oh, you're going to hear one worse than that, buddy.
Here, Mantine, I got a question for you. Can you guess who the 2 people were that picked Malice over Bloodsport?
Well, if I was a betting man, I'd have to say Civilian Favela Arc and Spin Wrong Take Doctor.
Wow. Yeah, I thought you were going to pick me right off the bat, which is what I was going for with that question.
Spin Doctor
but you did get it right.
Yeah, Spin Doctor picked shit takes so I can dismantle his arguments and make him look bad, and Civ is just a favela, so, I mean,
Yeah. Of course, you all know Mantine, like, fucking beat up Spin last week on the podcast.
yeah, Spin kind of got beat up, he kind of got punched on a little bit.
I was boogied to death.
Yeah.
Yeah, but,
You
yeah.
get to dismantle these stupid takes, I'll be back, but
What's your
just ping me, let me know.
What's your opinion on Hypershock versus Hijinks, Mantine?
Hijinks has a non-zero chance of even spinning up, much less winning the fight. Unless Hypershock literally breaks down, it's not gonna lose.
What?
Oh yeah, hygiene. Hypershock versus Valkyrie is a thing, and yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Hijinks is terrible, and Valkyrie's better Hijinks and a loss. So I don't know how Hijinks would even do this.
Actually, currently, this season, I'd probably say currently Hijinks is better than Valkyrie, in my opinion. I'd say Hijinks has done better than Valkyrie this season.
Did you see what happened when Hijinks got put up against a competent opponent that can actually stay on it in the form of Sawblaze?
Did you see what happened? Did you see what happened to Valkyrie when it took on a fucking lifter?
Well, no, Valkyrie's terrible too. Don't get me wrong, but Kraken just sort of died on its own because it kept on running into him like an idiot. Sub-Zero again died on its own, and
wait, what was Kraken supposed to do?
I disagree with that.
Kraken was supposed to count it out.
The Kraken part, I kind of agree with the Kraken part. The Sub-Zero part, I disagree with it. But
Sub-Zero is just shit. That's the problem.
That is true. Sub-Zero shit. I'm sorry, Cordy. It's true.
Kraken could have let him get counted out.
Yeah.
Oh, Sub-Zero's just bad.
But yeah, Green, what's your take on this fight?
So Spin brought up Hypershock versus Valkyrie. Hypershock box rushed Valkyrie within 2 to 3 seconds into that fight. I'm predicting a repeat of that for this one because there's no doubt Hypershock's gonna box rush Valkyrie, or no doubt that Hypershock's gonna box rush Hijinks in this one and prevent it from getting up to full speed, similar to what Sawblaze did in that fight and was able to do successfully. If Hypershock can keep on Hijinks, which I feel they would be able to, I think Hypershock has this one. But the thing is, I could also see Hijinks using that wedge on the backside to hold off Hypershock and allow their blade to get up to speed. Because I personally would actually say that I'd give the ground game edge to that tail. Just the fact that tail actually did get underneath Sawblaze once in that fight. But I still think Hypershock will be able to get the hits in they need and be able to win the fight.
Yeah, my vote's going to be for...
Imagine if Hypershock ramps off of Hijinks' tail and flips itself over.
That'd be the biggest bro moment ever. But yeah, Hypershock moves on to the quarterfinals where it will take on Shatter, the winner of Shatter versus Huge, and I gotta ping Mantine so he can get back in here so I can tell him my shitty take.
Oh. Hold on, I want to hear. Oh.
Okay, so
here. All right, here I'm gonna share my take because we gotta wait till Mantine gets here. So I have Huge for this one because I think this fight's gonna result the same way as it did when Huge fought Chomp. As I'm predicting, Shatter. I think Shatter's only shot here is going to be stop the weapon from getting up to full speed and snipe the weapon area with that hammer. Because yeah, while I do like Shatter and all, and I think Shatter is very capable of doing damage to Huge to the body with that hammer. But the problem is that if Huge's spinner connects on the hammer, that hammer is gonna break. Like what it did in the endgame fight in the Malice fight. And that's why I've got to pick Huge for this one.
My prediction:
the lack of push power that Shatter.
I got Shatter over Huge, Mantine. I got Shatter over Huge.
Literally one
about Shatter's hammer.
Cause Shatter
would its anti-vert hammer be available in this fight? It wasn't available in the Riptide fight because it broke.
The Mary special is not available. It is just basic ass hammer. What Shatter used against Huge and no, not Huge, but Riptide and Sub-Zero. Okay, so hear me out on this. We've seen Shatter's hammer in action against Sub-Zero. It's been able to like fucking pierce through their metal. It's clear that Shatter has the most effective hammer, period. Like,
Okay, so,
so
you're
and
assuming that Shatter, its entire mechanism has to get around the bar of Huge, which is right in the center of the robot.
no,
So even if it fires the hammer and hits the body of Huge, Huge can probably turn and hit either the support or the actual hammer and lop it off because
okay.
it's not the most sturdy thing in the world.
Okay, but if Shatter,
I think my here. Hold on. So I think what I'm thinking here with Shatter is it's gonna get hit by the bar, but it's gonna also stall the bar while it's in the area of it, and that's when it's gonna fire its hammer. Not like it's gonna fire its hammer and then just get wrecked by the bar. It's gonna be already in the bar.
Well,
here's how I see it. Like, I feel like Shatter's gonna. I feel like Adam Wrigley's gonna try and. Well, he's either gonna aim to snipe the weapon, which is gonna be kind of difficult. So I think he's gonna try and snipe the frame. He's gonna dish out the hammer shots directly to the frame, and we've seen that robots that can reach up to Huge's base, like Switchback or Uppercut, that they can fuck up Huge's drive in that. So I think by that logic, I'd have to go Shatter, because Shatter should, in theory, be able to reach up to Huge's base. And unlike a hammer bot, like, say, Huge fought Chomp in 2018, for one, Chomp is, I think we can all agree, Chomp is worse than Shatter, both in hammer power and just in overall. And Chomp bent the Huge chassis, so, and since Shatter is better than Chomp in pretty much every single way possible, Shatter should be able to, like, fuck up Huge's chassis and just bend it and break it and do some internal damage. Another thing to take a note is that Huge's base is kind of compact. You know, it's got the two big ass wheels, and then it's got like two parts to it. It's got the part on the left side and the part on the right side. Those are two frame things. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure those are basically two robots in one. But I feel that if Shatter can just like snipe a drivetrain somewhere, I feel like they have it in the bag at that point, because we've seen that Adam Wrigley is a great driver. He's a top 10, top 15 driver. Adam Wrigley is great. So I feel like Shatter will win this one, in my opinion.
Yeah, my only real objection is I feel Huge should go with the long range bar, like what they did with Uppercut and Switchback. Shatter's going to need to take the first hit well, and they're going to need to make sure it avoids some of the important components, because in order for Shatter to be able to fire that hammer into that area, they got to get past the blade on Huge, and I don't think they're fast enough to prevent Huge's blade from getting up to full speed. But yeah, the thing is, if Huge gets the right hit in, like, Shatter's hammer could be gonzo and stuff if they're not careful. But you definitely make a good point, because like if they can take that first hit and not in an important area and then strike the body, like, surely enough that could be it for Huge, like what you said, because like Huge's electronics were not able to take the impacts well from those uppercut hits, and so we definitely could see that occur again. So you're definitely made a good point that this is a lot closer than what I think it might be, but I do believe that first hit will determine what happens in the fight, and I think Huge will get it, but that's my opinion. So,
Spin, Mantine, what do you got?
So I'm in the same camp as you, Civilian. I think Shatter's hammer has really impressed me, especially in that Sub-Zero fight. Cause man, the damage it dealt to Sub-Zero is gnarly.
Yeah.
And like I feel like it's gonna be able to do similar damage to Huge. Especially we've seen it not be able to take hits as well in the Switchback and in the Uppercut fight. I do think that's gonna get in there. It's gonna have to tank a hit, which I do think it can, and it's just start hammering away under Huge. And Huge, like, is not going to be able to do much about it once its weapon is just stalled by Shatter being in its path. It's not gonna be able to spin up as well, I don't think. Because like
So
I can see
Shadow
Shadow
can
gets
take a
in
hit,
there,
huh?
he stops the blade, and then Shadow just keep firing his hammer, and then Huge can't really do anything about Shadow being up in his grill.
So Shatter can take a hit now, huh?
Yeah.
Ever since it lost in the first round of the first fight against Riptide, rookie, never fought nobody. And now Shatter can take a hit. Okay.
And could Huge
All
take
right.
it? Well, okay, but here's my question, Mantine. Can Huge take a hit?
Well, here's the thing. This is probably one of the most sensical arguments I've ever heard Civ make out of some completely bullshit random take. So
I don't
shout
know
out to
if I
him for that.
Thanks, I guess.
Um, I mean, huge. I'm in the camp of Mr. Green Square. You know, I think they're going to use that long range bar, and I feel like you guys are really overestimating how well Shatter is going to be able to stay on huge. Either huge is going to huge. First of all, they can spin down and hit the top of Shatter where the weapon assembly is and the chain and all that, and it's a lot easier for huge to hit the weapon assembly of Shatter and do damage than for Shatter to hit Huge because Huge's body isn't that big, and if he hits it with the shaft of the weapon, it's not going to really do anything. So it's a very small margin of error for where he's going to fire that hammer. It's a lot easier for Huge to get in damage than it is for Shatter. I agree. If Shatter gets in some good hits, it could definitely win the fight, but it's going to be a lot harder for Shatter to do that than it is for Huge, who just has to drive at him and hit the top of him or hit the side of him. Um, you guys are saying that Huge is going to stall the blade when it hits Shatter, which may be true, but it's going to, hit Shatter before it stalls the blade. And I mean, you'd think that, when it hits it, it's going to knock it back to the point where it could start spinning up again before Shatter gets over there to really get any good hammer shots in. And even if he does start getting hammer shots in, it's like that's not going to do as much as uppercut or switchback, who have 60-pound some of the heaviest weapons in the competition, spinning at 250 miles an hour. That's obviously not going to do as much as a hammer. I mean, or it's going to do a lot more than a hammer. We saw that monster hit that uppercut got against Huge. I mean, Shatter's just not capable of doing that kind of damage. And even if it is, it requires a lot more precision, a lot more, careful driving, which Adam Wrigley is capable of. I'm not saying he couldn't do that, but it's just a lot less likely than Hughes just running up on it and hitting the top and breaking Shatter.
Okay, I have one more thing, then I'm pretty sure we'll just go into a tiebreaker. I feel that Shatter's hammer does have more reach than Huge's bar, but not by much. I feel like if both bots were going at each other and Shatter was about to fire its hammer and Huge was about to get a hit, I feel like Shatter would get the hit first, in my opinion. So,
Yes, but here's the thing: it has to fire at a point, and if it wants to hit the chassis of Huge, it's going to hit the chassis of Huge, and it's probably going to, because of physics and logic, going to pop itself up when it hits the top of Huge, because that's how it works. It's hitting something and then pushing itself upward and pushing Huge downward because the spike's coming at the top of it, blah blah blah. Even if it gets a hit on Huge, there's not a guarantee that it takes out a drive, and there is a pretty solid chance that it's going to pop itself up and then get a huge uppercut by Huge that I don't know, especially after watching the Riptide fight, that Shatter can survive.
I mean, here's the thing with that Riptide fight. Riptide is way more powerful. All right, it's also gonna get right up in Shatter's grill. Okay, it's gonna. Sorry, I'm not explaining myself well. So
I hear what you're saying.
yeah, okay. Like, I mean, you're taking into account the Riptide fight, but like the endgame fight, even if it lost by KO, it took those hits super well, and I feel like endgame's bar is more comparable to Huge's bar than Huge's bar is to Riptide's bar. If that makes sense. Like in terms of how they hit.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, like you said, they did lose to KO in both fights anyway, and albeit they did survive a lot better than you'd
But like
imagine from
Huge is like so much less powerful than Endgame, especially with the weapon, because like, it is bigger, and that's gonna be harder to spin up than Endgame's weapon. It's also gonna not gonna.
I
Also,
mean, we've seen Huge do some damage in the past, a lot of damage, and I mean, that still doesn't discount the fact that Huge could just spin their weapon down and hit the soft top of Shatter.
Okay, another thing. They had the chance to do that with Riptide, and they didn't.
What do you mean?
Wait, hold on. That's my bad. I think I remembered the fight wrong. I forgot the spinner, the way they spun
Yeah,
that mad
Huge
bot.
got stuck. They probably would have won that fight if they didn't get stuck. Like they were still driving.
I think what Spin was going with that is Huge spun up that time when they should have spun down, and Spin was going off of what if they made that same mistake again. But I personally think they're gonna learn. They're gonna learn from mistakes like
Also,
that.
I don't feel like Shatter.
I feel.
I don't feel like
Huge would learn from that.
I don't feel like Shatter.
Yeah, exactly.
While my vote is still for Shatter, I don't feel like Shatter could get like that Riptide hit that it got on Huge.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Shatter doesn't have the power that Uppercut or Switchback or Riptide have. They're spinners. They're going to hit harder, and Shatter requires a lot more precision. You have to hit the body of Huge, and even if you do, you're going to take a hit in return, most likely.
That's true. All right, so I'm gonna flip the coin now. So,
can I do a coin flip because I grabbed my Huge poker chip?
okay, can you show me spin fucking? Yeah, can you show me both
You guys
sides?
need more chip takes? Call me
We
back.
have the Huge
All right.
side,
All right,
and we have this side.
all
The
right.
Huge Battlebots side.
All right, I guess Shatter can be the Battlebot sign, and Huge can just be Huge.
Okay. Am I doing 2 out of 3 or just 1?
Here, I'll do a coin
think
flip.
just one.
I'll do a coin flip for that.
Here, Spin, you gotta do a coin flip as well. All 3 of
yeah,
us do a coin
yeah, all
flip.
three.
Okay.
Okay, so
All right, hold on. Let me find a coin. I don't have my poker chips yet, so I just have a quarter here.
so I have a
That works.
1998 penny with me. For me, heads will be Huge, tails will be Shatter.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go with what civilians said because
same.
that logic makes sense.
All right, so everybody flip in 3, 2, 1, go.
Let's go.
And that is a win.
Civilian.
That is a win for Huge.
No!
All right.
Huge moves on to the quarterfinals in a sad,
I'm okay with this.
sad.
Yeah, if any of these fights need a coin flip that has a robot with a poker chip I own, I'm gonna use it for this.
All right.
Which that'd be Malice, Huge, Valkyrie. I think that's it actually. So I don't think I own poker chips from anybody else.
All right, so now we got.
Shatter just can't catch a break. This is another time where I defended Shatter and I just failed, I guess.
Well, at least you had someone backing you up this time.
Yes, it was a nice change of pace.
Yeah, but now we move on to the right side of the bracket where we have a rematch from a 2019 bout between Mad Catter and Ribot, and we did this fight last week in our custom seeding bracket where we all kind of went for Ribot to win. Has your opinion changed? Green, what's your opinion on this fight?
Mine hasn't changed. I still go Ribot because it was winning the fight before it turned its head towards the mini bot, and I don't think it's gonna make that mistake again.
All right, Green, what do you got?
Kind of stand on. I think Mad Catter would take this one again, but I'm more sure about it this time after seeing Ribot's performance with Hydra, because what actually really, while I do disagree with how Ribot got caught out there, their durability actually really concerned me in that match because Ribot is the robot that was able to survive a beating from Uppercut. They weren't able to survive many flips from Hydra in that one.
Well,
how do we know that? And Mad Catter hit harder than Hydra is the thing.
That is true.
So,
they got thrown 20 feet in the air and landed directly onto their spinner. What did you expect?
Yeah.
I don't think that's very comparable to Mad Catter's weapon.
Yeah, it's definitely tricky.
Wait a minute.
The thing is, I think there's no doubt Ribot would go with the vertical spinner configuration, and this will come down to ground game. But Yeah, like this is a tough one because like Mad Catter's drive has not been the most reliable this season, and that might have been what costed them in the Black Dragon fight and that really close decision that we saw. But yeah, this is a really tough one to call and stuff. I'm gonna stick with Mad Catter on this one because I think Mad Catter has the better weapon between the two. I'm going to slightly lean towards them with the ground game advantage between the two of them.
Yes.
And Ribot's durability, and like I said, Ribot's durability was a little bit of a concern of mine. And like I might be overreacting, like what Spin is trying to get at me for, or when he responded to my concern after the Hydra fight. But those are kind of reasons why I'm going to go Mad Catter on this one.
Yeah, so here's my take. I feel like this is much closer than when we did this last week. Mainly because we didn't see enough from either bot, in my opinion. I mean, like, Ribot took on what was essentially 3 gimmies, and Mad Catter took on I wouldn't say Mad Catter got gimmies besides, like, fucking Rampage, but it took on Yeti, which, I mean, that was kind of like a quick KO thing, and here's the thing, we never really saw, like, Mad Catter's ground game last week. Like, they always had, like, those weird, like, pontoon-like wedgie things. But when they went into the Black Dragon fight, they did have some new ground game advantages with that huge-ass fork thing that gave me Hypershock fork vibes. And also, Green is right in this case that Ribot's durability does concern me, but I also feel like part of it was kind of just like Ribot doing damage to itself and Hydra doing damage. But also on that note, I feel like if that's the case, then if Ribot can like fail to stay alive for like a minute 30 to like doing damage to itself, I'd fail to see how it could survive the impacts to Mad Catter that much. So
I think the difference is that like Ribot is using a horizontal, and like that landing like that 20 feet in the air and then landing on its own weapon. It's not just its weapon hitting something and it's killing itself. No, it's flying 20 feet in the air and then landing on its weapon. The force of gravity combined with just them being a horizontal is killing it here. It's not they couldn't take hits; is that they couldn't take hits from themselves.
yeah.
Being a vert, if they go on a vert and they get under Mad Catter, yeah, that's gonna. And if Mad Catter gets under Ribot, that's gonna be a different case because weapon's not gonna kill itself. It's not gonna kill Ribot itself. Like Ribot itself, I think is fine with taking hits. I think it's more so the weapon dealing damage to Ribot, and that's not gonna happen with the vert.
That is true. Which is why this is much closer than it was last time. Like, Green brought up some excellent points. Spin also brought some excellent points. I feel like... I feel like just on Calvin Eba's driving alone, it should be able to get a 2-0 win against Ribot. So I'm gonna go Mad Catter for this one, but... I could be wrong. They could have, like, some kind of bounties fight and fight each other, and Ribot claps it. Who knows? But, yeah, Mad Carter moves on to the quarterfinals, where it will take on the winner between Valkyrie and Tombstone. Now, I'd say that this is a pretty hype fight if this happened in 2020, but this fight isn't happening in 2020, and we're getting this fight in 2021. But, yeah, this was both bots have kind of had like a week 2-1 run. Like Tombstone took a shattering loss to Captain Shredder and then won a double KO victory against Mammoth, and then kind of beat one wheeled free shipping when it lost its weapon. And then you have Valkyrie. Valkyrie, who has lost to P1 and then beat Triple Crown and Pardon My French. And then took a loss to Flip. So, yeah, this should be an interesting fight. I mean, these are two, like, big characters of the sport, so it would be fun to see. What do you guys have on this?
Okay, I want to go first here. I'm not sure if I quite trust Valkyrie's armor. Tombstone has died to like wedges and stuff, but like Valkyrie's armor isn't to the same level of like tankiness or able to take hits like Jackpot's armor is, like free shipping's armor is, or like Captain Shredder is, you know? Um, I think its weapon would die if it faced a good wedge, but like Valkyrie doesn't really have that to my knowledge. And Valkyrie got really torn apart. Like its armor had holes in it. It looked really janky after fighting Extinguisher. So I'm thinking what happens here is Tombstone gets a hit in, but after the first impact, I don't think Tombstone's weapon's gonna die off like it did against Jackpot and Captain Shredder or Free Shipping. I think it's gonna go for multiple hits, and then Valkyrie's just not gonna be able to take the hits.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate for these two because these two both kind of had an off season this season, I feel, which is too bad because like I love both of these robots, including my first ever damaged Battlebot part came from Valkyrie themselves. But this one I think comes down to reach with this one because I think if Valkyrie can get to some of the exposed bits on Tombstone, or if Tombstone can get to some of like the exposed bits on Valkyrie first, I think that's going to determine who would win if these two fought. I'm kind of leaning towards Tombstone with this one because I like the reach they have with some of the longer bars that Tombstone has shown off in some of their fights. I think they could be able to get to the frame before Valkyrie gets too many hits in with their undercutter, and that's why I'm probably going to pick Tombstone for this one, but I would love to see a fight between these two. I think it would be really cool to see Huge take I don't know why Huge got brought into there.
I mean, it
But
would be fun
I'd love
to see Huge
I'd
fight
love to see
Tombstone.
Tombstone take on Undercutter. I'm
Yeah.
curious what would happen, and Valkyrie would be a good undercutter for Tombstone to take on.
Yeah, here's the thing I have on Valkyrie is my problem with it is like we haven't seen it fight that much like destructive bots really ever. Like I'd say like you could say Rotator, but Rotator was kind of going more defense mode on that fight than like going like full on like Rotator like destroy stuff mode. And it was damaging itself to like the Whiplash fight and stuff. So I feel like Tombstone should, in theory, be able to win this because like while both bots have had an off season, I will say that Tombstone's still giving us the Tombstone shots. Like even in his like fights it lost, like it fucked up Mammoth's side. It it took off 3 wheels of Tombstone perfectly. I mean, no, not 3 wheels of Tombstone, 3 wheels of free shipping perfectly. And then if it didn't die like it did against Jackpot, it probably would have won the fight. Like if Tombstone was able to keep going, Jackpot was in real turmoil in that fight since it lost part of its top panel and I want to say part of its wedge. I think I don't know. Jackpot got real beat up in that fight. I'm kind of worried for it going into next week. But yeah, I'm gonna go for Tombstone on this one. I think they'll get a knockout in. So yeah, I'm gonna go Tombstone. So Tombstone will move on to the quarterfinals where it will take on Mad Catter in a rematch. So yeah, but now we have our last round of 16 matchup between Ice Wave and Yeti. This fight took place in This fight took place in 2018 BattleBots where there's a bit of controversy going around. Well, not like a judge's decision controversy, but just like Ice Wave getting a late hit, which like isn't too bad of a controversy. But yeah, both bots had a few seasons off. Yeti took the 2020 season off. Ice Wave took the 2019 and 2020 season off. Both bots came back and got a 2-1 record, one more solid than the other. And then lost to the round of 32. Yeti lost to Cobalt. Ice Wave lost to Whiplash. So, yeah, this should be a fun rematch. What do you guys have on it?
I might actually be flipping from the bracket I sent you when I originally was thinking I wasn't going to be here because there's something I thought of with this one. So,
What you got?
So here's the reason why I was originally going Yeti for this one, because I think the Forks are Yeti's only shot of winning this fight. Right? and here's why when I get to why I'm actually gonna flip on this one. So I think Yeti either needs to like get underneath Ice Wave with those forks, which is definitely a possibility because those forks do have some good ground game. Like we know that from some of Yeti's previous fights. But here's the thing though. Ice Wave's got some solid ground game as well with those wedgelets. And then the other thing to take in consideration, Mad Catter exposed this pretty well, but that weapon area on Yeti is actually pretty delicate, as that drum spinner I'm pretty sure was about to fall right off at the end of the Mad Catter fight. If it took like another few more hits, because it did look loose at the end of that. If Icewave can get the right hit in, I think they could wreck the weapon of Yeti and stuff, even on like a weapon on weapon shot. And that is why I'm actually going to pick Ice Wave with this one. I was originally thinking Yeti, but I think I'm going to go with the big take and pick Ice Wave for here.
Oh, wait, hold on. I need Mantine. Sorry.
Oh, because of that take.
Imagine if Mantine comes in and like sides with Ice Wave. That would hurt
Yeah,
a lot.
we'll let Manty come in. That we'll ask him who he thinks picked Ice Wave.
Yeah.
Because I'm assuming you two are probably going Yeti. I'm guessing.
Well, Spin,
I'm going Yeti. I want to save my take though.
Yeah. Basically, my take for this is this fight will be better than the last one, although that isn't saying much. It was a pretty poor main event. Yeti, I feel that the problem with this fight is that Ice Wave has not looked even remotely good in this season. Like, it got clapped to Black Dragon with ease. Deadlift. Okay, Green, give us your take. Go.
Oh yeah, you gave it away, but I would predict Ice Wave over Yeti for this. Okay.
What's going on?
Okay, hear me out, Mantine. Hear me out with this. So,
Okay.
what I was originally thinking is Yeti would win this one with the forks and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, Ice Wave also has some really solid ground game, and so I think they'd be able to hold off the forks. But then here's the case that I thought of earlier, which is why I'm actually going Ice Wave at this one. As proven by Mad Catter when they took on Yeti, that weapon area on Yeti is actually pretty delicate. Like the drum spinner was loose at the end of that fight because his Mad Catter hit the hub area and knocked one pit of it loose. Ice Wave, I feel they have the power. They could do the same thing if they get the right shot and disable that drum spinner, which is why I'm actually picking Ice Wave for this one.
Now, gentlemen, this may come as a shock to you, but I'm going to have to agree with Mr. Green Square.
Yes,
I knew it.
yes.
So,
Wait, give us your take.
Yeti this season is very small. It's very narrow, and we've seen Ice Wave has at least some sort of capability to run away from things that don't have a fat wedge. Like even deadlift, it's got a pretty solid wedge. It's pretty good. You theoretically should be able to get a pretty good box rush, but it doesn't have a horizontal, and a horizontal, especially with the length of Ice Wave's bar, it probably would be able to clip the side of Yeti pretty easily. And the forks of Yeti, I don't know if they'd be able to withstand that first couple shots from Ice Wave. It's just Yeti's been really fragile. Those wheels are so exposed. I feel like if Ice Wave could get a couple good shots on the side, which I think it'd be able to do pretty well, it'd probably be able to win this fight pretty swimmingly.
Can I make a counter argument?
Mm-hmm.
Ice Wave lost its weapon in one-hit diffusion.
Okay. Well, I don't think Yeti would be able to get that hit because it doesn't have a very large rear, wedge like Fusion does.
The other thing is, Icewave fixed that problem after that fight, because they reinforced the cylinder that broke in the engine area for the Whiplash fight, and it did appear to work a lot better when it fought Whiplash, even though it did get flipped about less than a minute into that fight.
Yeah, and I mean, Yeti just doesn't have a very. I mean, it just doesn't have, the same wedge. There's nothing that's going to stop Yeti's blade aside from the side of the bot.
Okay, so I guess we have a tiebreaker all of a sudden. I
Not
ca-
actually
I
think
kind I kind
Mantine was gonna
I kind of
agree with me on that.
I kind of regret calling you in now, Mancine.
I mean, I love Yeti, but it's just not very
It's not a bad
resilient,
take.
is it?
I think civilian. I think the problem here is that you thought Ice Wave over Yeti was a bad take, and it really wasn't.
Wait, are
It
you
could go
going?
either way.
Are you going?
If Yeti gets the box rush, it would win the fight.
Wait,
But
Spin. Are you going Ice?
No, I'm not going Ice Wave. I think
Okay.
Yeti's gonna win.
Thank Christ. Okay.
So like my okay. So this might be a crackhead thing, but like my thinking of this is that even if Yeti doesn't have a wedge, I think its fork length is gonna help a lot here. I think what's gonna happen is Yeti's gonna get under Ice Wave. It's gonna take a hit. That hit may be monstrous, but I do think it's just gonna take the rest of the fight after that first hit. I think what's gonna happen is Yeti's gonna get under Ice Wave, and it does take that hit, and it might got knocked back. But like Yeti being under the forks may. So I'm not really explaining myself here. I can't talk well. I can't. I'm forming my sentences as I go here, but what I'm thinking is Yeti's gonna get under Ice Wave. It's gonna take a hit, but I think it's gonna recover from that hit faster than Ice Wave is, and I think it's just gonna take the rest of the fight.
Can I initiate a counter argument?
Yes, you can murder me if you want.
It literally doesn't matter. Gigabyte's gonna win the next fight.
That is true.
Oh,
that
you know
is
what? Yeah, good point.
That is pretty true.
Literally does not matter, even a little bit.
Well, I mean, Mantine.
Well, I just want Yeti to make round of 16. Okay.
I don't know, Mantine. You sure you wouldn't flip on that? I mean, you were pretty scared against Grabot, so I mean.
Dude, that just didn't happen. Both of these bots are washed. Ice Wave and Yeti are washed.
Okay, so
I feel like I could make a better argument of Ice Wave over Gigabyte than I could.
Bro, what do you mean? It's just gonna be like.
I think what Spin's trying to say is he could make a better argument of Ice Wave beating Gigabyte than Yeti beating Gigabyte.
Ice Wave wouldn't.
It is honestly easy.
What is Yeti? What is Ice Wave gonna do?
I'm not saying it would. I would definitely vote Gigabyte over Ice Wave. I'm just saying an argument is easier to make with Ice Wave over Gigabyte than Yeti over Gigabyte. I'd
agree with that personally. I could see Ice Wave beating Gigabyte than Yeti beating Gigabyte probably. But yeah,
I think I'd probably support that as well. I'd definitely vote Gigabyte over both of them, but I feel Ice Wave would have a better shot if the weapon is fully functional at 100%, which I feel like it probably would be, knowing the improvements made.
Yeah, but we are at a tie now, so we got to do a coin flip again. So
yeah, and so I don't have an Ice Wave or a Yeti poker chip, but the closest to Ice Wave who I'm supporting for this one would be my Horizon poker chip. So I'm gonna flip that one instead.
Okay.
So we're gonna have this Horizon bit right here, which will be for Ice Wave, and then Horizon 2022, which will be Yeti in this case.
Same thing, heads, tails. Heads for me will be Yeti, tails for me will be Ice Wave. So, yeah.
Same.
3, 2, 1, flip.
Oh, man.
So that's Yeti?
Yep, my coin flip went Yeti.
Yeah,
Wait,
I got his coin flip went Yeti, my coin flip went Yeti, so Yeti makes it to the next round.
Mine went Ice Wave, but I don't think that matters.
But yeah,
well,
here
Ben got his wish.
Here we have.
All right, that's all you need me.
Here we have our 4 quarterfinals fights: Malice, Lucky, Hypershock, Huge, Mad Catter, Tombstone, Yeti, Gigabyte. One of these bots is two of these bots are actually What If champions, so wonder if one of those two will reclaim their titles. One of these robots is a What If runner-up, so maybe this one can reclaim their title. Claim a title, I should say. So, yeah. But let's get into the top left matchup where we have Malice versus Lucky. And I did ask Bunny Sorial again what weapon configuration she would go with against Lucky, and she answered me with a answer I was personally kind of surprised with, as Bunny actually told me she'd go big red in this fight, which is the weapon you see Malice, like this picture of Malice right here, with its big ass red drum spinner. I'm a bit surprised by that, if I'm being honest. I feel like that would maybe pop Malice up more, since Lucky's got that tanky like defense armor, like what it had against Orbee. I feel like that would like maybe make Malice a bit more unstable, in my opinion. But it does have the bunny tail, so I don't think it'll like get like have a Malice moment like it did in 2020. So what are your guys' thoughts on this fight?
I have a question.
Personally, I think if Malice
Lucky's
didn't have
armor.
the bunny tail, I think they would have gotten stuck in all 4 of those fights. Because
That's
all 4 of
probably
those
true.
fights, there was a moment in there that looked like Malice was going to get stuck on its
Yeah,
backside.
That's
then it
actually
didn't.
true. What did you have?
I have a
Spin?
question about the Orbee versus Lucky fight.
Yeah.
You two probably have better recollection of the fight. How did Lucky take the initial hit against Orbee?
It took it solidly. I mean, it was
Yeah, looked like there was a chip in the plow, but that's about it.
like Lucky was still like perfect, but perfectly working. It just still took a big chip.
Yeah, this one though is also a tough one to go with, like Malice and Bloodsport, because Malice is definitely the robot that's more capable of doing damage between the two. Like, Bloodsport's only shot of doing damage in this one is if Malice's weapon breaks. Because Malice's drive is not going to be stopped by the flipper of Lucky, I feel. Well, and stuff. Like, Lucky's flipper definitely has some power to it, but I don't think it's going to stop the drive of Malice in this. But yeah, the only shot I feel Lucky has with this one is if Malice's weapon breaks, and then it can just keep flipping Malice for the remainder of the fight. But then if Malice gets their hits in before either their weapon breaks, if at all, like, I feel Malice could get the knockout on this one, and that's why I think I'm gonna pick Malice for this one. But this is a tough one to call. So
Spin, what do you have
Yeah.
on this?
So, this is also a really tough one. My heart says Malice, but I'm honestly thinking Lucky, because although Malice is really aggressive, it's gonna come in, it's gonna deal a bunch of hits. I do think they're just gonna get controlled by Lucky. They're gonna get flung around. Think about what happened to Tantrum initially. All right, Tantrum did not get under Lucky initially. It just started getting. Sorry, my dog's barking. It just got flipped into oblivion until it got thrown into a thing. I think something similar is going to happen where, like, Mouse doesn't get a really good initial hit, but Lucky's just going to come in with a barrage of flips following those and just take over the fight. Like, I don't think Mouse is going to pull a tantrum and just flip the turn of the fight, because I think Lucky just keep taking those hits really well and just, take the win. Probably by... I'm so sorry about my dog. Probably
It's
by
okay.
decision.
It's okay. Don't worry. Yeah, this is a tough one for me personally, because Lucky. Here's the thing with the difference between Orbee and Malice. I'm like, I'd say 80% sure that Orbee broke its blade on the wall. I think, like, it hit the wall and then broke its blade, and then Lucky flipped it into the like thing holding the screws in that immobilized it. That's not gonna happen with Malice. Like, Malice's weapon doesn't break. Like, okay, well, it kind of took damage in the Gigabyte fight, but Lucky isn't Gigabyte. It's not gonna increasingly chip like big gashes into Malice's weapon like it does. And I feel like the main problem here is that here's the thing. We don't know how powerful Lucky's flipper really is the thing. Because, like, yeah, it flipped Tantrum up into the, like, ball thing, but, like, that wasn't that big of a flip. Like, that wasn't, like, I'd say, like, 2016 Bronco had better airtime than like that flip Lucky gave us. I think I'm gonna go.
Hold on. Sorry, in my opinion, I don't really think it matters what if Lucky gets really high flips or really low flips. What I think matters here is that I think Lucky's just gonna take control. I don't know how well Malice. I don't think if Malice can recover from just Lucky coming in and just flipping about. Like, I think what's gonna happen is Malice is gonna. I mean, not Malice. I think what's gonna happen is Lucky's just gonna throw Malice around for like 3 minutes. I don't think it matters if Malice's weapon dies or lives because I don't. I think it's just. I think it just can't thrown about.
We also
I
don't.
don't. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you can go.
I think a factor. I not know. I don't know how to consider is can Lucky take hits? We know it survived 3 minutes against Copperhead, but like we don't know how it can take horizontal hits because it just
That's true.
instant. Because Orbee just instant broke. So.
Yeah. The thing we also don't know is how durable is Lucky's flipper really, because we saw in fights against like Sanabayachi or even Gemini, they did beat up Lucky's flipper a lot.
Mammoth broke Lucky's flipper too.
That's true. That's true. Okay. I think I gotta go Malice then, just based on that aspect alone.
I am happy Malice is moving on, even though if I was voting Lucky, I really want Malice to go on.
But now we're gonna see it take on the winner between Hypershock and Huge. Rematch that happened in 2019 where, Hypershock should have been in the top 8, but whatever. But yeah, Hypershock brought back the Rakes in 2019 and used them against Huge, which I thought was a fairly fun way to bring back the Rakes, in my opinion. And it did work. In Hypershock's credit, it did work perfectly as they planned, as it got Huge up in the screws, and it even chipped away at the wheels a couple times. So, before I say what you guys think will happen in this fight, do you guys think Hypershock will use the Rakes again in this fight?
I personally would say no, and here's why. Where would Hypershock put the Rakes this time? Because they used the self-rider for them both times. They don't have a self-rider this season. And so that's why I would say no for this one. Including also the Rakes kind of help. I feel the Rakes definitely helped at first, but they didn't help in the end because they started out putting Huge in the screws and leaving Huge vulnerable for big hits. But then the Rakes held back Hypershock following that, where part of the Rakes jammed up Hypershock spinners. So
I could be wrong in saying this, but I don't know if Will said this or not. But I think he said in Behind the Bots he did bring something. If he did bring some sort of attachment or something, or he built in attachment if they want to put Rakes on Hypershock. Like that was an option I think they had in 2021. I might be wrong in that.
that's very good to know. I don't know the answer to that, but you could be right. I haven't watched much of Behind the Bots stuff, but I could definitely see that Will Bales did something like that. So
Also, Green,
I
thanks.
don't
I
remember
definitely agree
vividly,
that
but
you
I
might be
do
right.
remember something like that.
Also, Green, thanks for to asking Bunny on the group chat about the
Yeah, I figured somebody ought to.
yeah. But what do you? I'm guessing based on that question alone, Green, you're going Huge.
Yeah, I'm going Huge for this one. Like, I want Hypershock to win this one because like they put up such a great fight against Huge the first time, even without a spinner. Like that was such a fun fight to watch between Hypershock and Huge in 2019. However, though, I think Hypershock's only real shot, because they're not gonna break those wheels and on Huge, is gonna be go weapon on weapon with them. And like while that did work out for Riptide and Uppercut as well, sort of. Like I I definitely could see Hypershock popping Huge in the air, but if Huge spins downwards, they're gonna hit the top of Hypershock, and I'm not sure how well armored that is. I think they'll be able to take some hits and stuff, because like Hypershock's durability is pretty good in my opinion, but I don't think they'll be able to be taking hits forever. And so what I think Hypershock's going to need to keep Huge from spinning up. But while I do think they are a fast spot and Will is a good driver, I think Huge is going to be able to get the moments they need to spin up and land those hits on Hypershock.
Yeah, I kind of gotta
Can
go.
I talk about what I think?
Sure.
Let me defend Hypershock a little bit.
Let me ping
my
Man
mindset
Team
here
first.
is- Hold on. I'm gonna say Huge in this one too.
Okay.
But I just want to defend Hypershock pick. So I think a point here is that Hypershock was actually doing a really good job against Huge. Like they're doing a decent job of control. They lost their weapon to Rake, and I feel like that really ruined their chances in the fight because no weapon. I think having dual disc in this fight is gonna help a lot. It's gonna be able to deal hits more. I think damaging the wheels is not an option. I just think controlling Huge is like the main thing here. And Hypershock is well driven. It's got good drive. I don't think it's gonna take hits. Wheels is where I'm going with this. And even with Rake, I do think those Rakes are just become a non-factor like 30 seconds into the fight. As soon as those Rakes get hit, it's just over because there are Rakes. So yeah, I would go Huge, but I do think it would be closer than you guys are thinking at least.
Yep. Well.
Yeah, like I think it'll be close as well,
Yeah.
because I do think Hypershock would like get a bunch of great control moments, but like I think Huge will be able to get some. But like where I was going with that is I think Huge will get just enough openings to get the hits and they need to win the fight. But I definitely agree that I think it'll be close, and stuff. Like yeah, I wasn't saying that like Huge is just gonna utterly dominate this fight and stuff, but. Yeah, I thought I'd clarify that at least.
But yeah, Malice moves on. Huge moves on to the semifinals where we'll take on Malice in a rematch. And now we go on to the right side where we see Mad Catter and Tombstone, where, Mad Catter beat Ribot in the round of 16 and Tombstone beat Valkyrie in the round of 16. And these two fought in 2020, and Tombstone really showed that it was still like the bot to beat at that fight. It was like chipping away at Tombstone, giving some killer shots to Mad Catter. It was doing great in that fight. But this Tombstone is very different than last year's Tombstone. And this year's Mad Catter is way more different than last year's Mad Catter. So, what do you guys think will happen in this fight?
I mean, we already saw this fight, so like, I'm just joking. Mad Catter is gonna be able to tank 2 hits, I think. So, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like Mad Catter. Well, we haven't seen Mad Catter's wedge in action, but I feel like just like the design of that wedge, it's got like that Beta-esque wedge, the like wrap around entire robot wedge, full body wedge per se. I feel like Mad Catter.
It also took more than 2 hits last year.
That is true. It did take 2 shots from Tombstone and kept going last year, so it should, in theory, be able to go this year too. What's your thoughts, Green?
So for me, what I'm gonna hope for if these two did rematch is that Calvin doesn't drive the fight the way he did when they fought the first time in 2021, because I feel that is why Mad Catter lost that fight to Tombstone, because I felt Calvin played right into Ray's hands with how he drove that fight and stuff. Went with Tombstone's driving style, like left his sides too vulnerable. I think Mad Catter's big shot at this one is go weapon on weapon with Tombstone, because like Tombstone has been a bit inconsistent this season. Because like every single one of their fights so far are between their 3 qualifiers and the jackpot fight. There have been issues arising with that robot, but Mad Catter, or they can't take the hits to the sides and stuff like what they did the first time. Like, yes, I do think they'd be able to take a few, but the damage will stack up because Tombstone is still a hard hitter regardless of that. So I feel if Mad Catter can go head on with Tombstone, I think they could rattle something loose in that robot because Tombstone has not been at 100% this season, which is really too bad because I love Tombstone and I hope they'll be able to solve all those gremlins for next season since I wouldn't doubt Tombstone's going to come back. So
Oh yeah, Ray always
yeah.
comes back.
Oh yeah.
But yeah,
I'm gonna bet Mad Catter on this one, but yeah, but yeah, it's gonna come down to driving for this one. I feel so.
But yeah, Mad Catter moves on to the semifinals, where it will take on the fight we kind of already predicted what would happen because we all said that Gigabyte would beat Yeti before we even decided the outcome between Icewave versus Yeti. So yeah.
Yeah. It was very, very unfortunate.
Yeah. But now we have our 4 semifinalists. A pretty colorful group of semifinalists, if you ask me. You got the always entertaining Bunny, Sorial, and Malice. You got the insane man, Martin Mason and Mad Catter. You got Calm Boy, Jonathan Schultz, and Huge, who probably wants to punch Jake in the face.
Why didn't we discuss Yeti and Gigabyte?
Because we kind of already discussed it in the Yeti Icewave fight.
Damn.
And then
Zam.
And then we got our boys, John Maladnik and Gigabyte. Shout out to them. We got to be on a podcast with them. It was fun times. So, yeah, we go on to our left side where, has Bunny answered us yet? No, she hasn't.
No, but I have a prediction for what
I feel like they go with Purple Pain.
No, I'd pick Drumstick, actually.
Really? Here, do you guys want to...
That's what I would predict a similar configuration for what they did in the blacksmith fight, because Huge is probably going to try to hit them from the top area, and the drumstick is the weapon Malice went with for an overhead attacker with blacksmith.
That is true.
And that's why I would predict the drumstick, but Civilian might be right. I could see Purple Pain as well coming into the action.
I feel like it doesn't necessarily matter. Like, any configuration Malice goes with, it could probably win with as long as its weapon doesn't automatically die. Because, like, Malice did really impressive in the Huge fight. Like, that was, like, perfect driving, perfect weapon damage hit by Malice. Like, I feel like Malice in a rematch should have this one because Huge cannot handle, like, kinetic energy well this season is the thing. Like, maybe it's just the fact that its fights with Switchback and Uppercut are, like, at the same level of its frame. But I feel like the kinetic energy will just rattle Huge, and Malice should be able to win this fight again, in my opinion. What do you guys have on that?
I think this fight's going to go the exact same way it did when they fought in Bounty Hunters. Like, I think Malice is probably going to lose the weapon in this fight. I don't think Huge is going to lose their spinner in this fight, because I don't think Malice has any shot of getting to the base of Huge.
Has Huge ever lost its spinner? I don't think it's ever lost.
I don't think so.
Well, besides the parts, it got, like, split in half.
There's one fight I was thinking of where I think they did. Jeez, I'm losing it. If I remember it, I'll bring it back later. There was one fight where I'm pretty sure they lost the weapon at the end of it, though. But, okay, so onto this fight, though. I think Malice is definitely going to have the edge in, like, control and aggression and stuff, because while it doesn't have a wedge, Malice does have a lot of push power to it, which is amazing and stuff. But, like, I think what's going to happen is Malice is probably going to get the hits in they need early in this one to just cause some damage to Huge, because, like, they won the fight against Huge last time because they tore off some of the back legs before losing the weapon. I think they could they could chip apart part of the wheels, maybe get to the back legs and stuff, but I do think Malice is probably going to lose the weapon because of those overhead hits that Huge can land, that they're capable of landing, and I feel it's just going to be kind of like a push battle, Malice pushing Huge around, Huge landing a hit every once in a while, and I think this fight would probably go down the same exact way.
Yeah, that's kind of what I have. So, Spin, what do you have?
Yeah, I think I have to agree with Green here because like I everything he said I agree with, except I think the decision would at least be split instead of unanimous.
That's fair.
I could
Like
definitely see that.
I re- I just can't believe Malice made it to the finals twice.
Yeah, how the fuck did this happen? It's crazy, man. It's crazy.
And you can't blame me for it. You can't blame me for it this time because I technically did vote against Malice in the Bloodsport one. So
You did vote
I
for
voted
it.
against Malice in the lucky one. It's a civilian.
okay, so civilian arc is to blame
No,
here.
hey, don't be shifting blame now, Green. You know you're gonna like go on to the Instagram group chat later and like brag to Malice of how you convinced everyone to get Malice to the finals in this bracket.
No, I'm not. Wasn't planning on it.
Okay. Now we go on to MC Mad Catter versus what the fuck did you send us? Spin. Oh, did you send us an anti-horizontal thing, Spin, in the podcast chat?
I think it is, but I'm not. I don't think it's gonna be effective against Ice Wave. It's just so short.
What the fuck is that?
Interesting.
I don't think they had weight for a full-on wedge.
Oh, I kind of doubt it.
I wish the camera picture wasn't so terrible so I could actually get a good view on it.
Yeah, I mean, I could link the video, I think, in the chat, but it's a Facebook video.
Okay. Well, that doesn't matter anymore since we have Mad Catter taking on Gigabyte. So, yeah, these are two extremely destructive weapons. Both bots that, at the very least, made finals of a bounty season. Mad Catter made the finals in the Ice Wave... No, not Ice Wave, Bronco bounty season. And then Gigabyte made it the full way in the 28 in the Son of Waiachi bounty season, and Mantine likes to simp for Gigabyte about a lot, and for some reason is afraid of Grabot. But yeah, what do you guys think will happen in this fight?
This is a tough one because like I think it'll come down to how well can Mad Catter's drive hang in there for this one because they seem to have quite a bit of drive problems for this one because they even talked about how two motors hasn't been enough to power their drive for this season, which I think they were hoping to go with 6, but apparently they've been running on 2 or something like that for most of their fights.
Interesting.
But I don't know if that's exactly true, but they were talking about something like that in some of their previous fights, but because like Mad Catter definitely has the design advantage, but I feel if anybody's going to get a knockout in this one, I think Gigabyte is more likely to do it between the two of them, and that's kind of why I'm slightly leaning towards Gigabyte on this one because I feel what's going to happen. I feel like what's going to happen is we're going to see quite a few weapon-on-weapon exchanges that Mad Catter seems to get the benefit of. But those drive problems are my concern with this one and why I'm going to pick Gigabyte for this one. But it should be a close one. So,
Spin, what do you got?
Mantine, I hope you're happy with yourself because I am also going Gigabyte. You see, I'm basing this off of how Gigabyte has done in fights. Against Tantrum, you have one of the best armored bots in the field, good wedge, and it really tore into that thing. Like, Tantrum was struggling to move, and in some cases, to some people, think Tantrum should have been counted out. Mad Catter is not as durable as Tantrum, and we know its drive isn't as durable as Tantrum's drive, you know? I think what's going to happen is Mad Catter's going to take an early advantage, but eventually those hits that Gigabyte lands are just going to start adding up. Like, Gigabyte's going to get flung a bit, but I think they're going to recover fairly well and kind of quickly and just keep chipping away eventually until until Mad Catter's wedge starts to wear down and then it just starts to take over the fight.
Yeah, that's fair, guys. I'd personally say that Mad Catter would win, but I can see what it's very close. The thing is, the problem is, it's close because on one hand we haven't seen Mad Catter take like a devastating horizontal spinner this season yet. Like And like, yeah, we predicted it over Tombstone, but Tombstone's probably not as good as Gigabyte this year. And like, and we have seen Gigabyte fight vertical spinners. Like, it took on, who did it fight? Oh yeah, Uppercut and Tantrum, which, yeah, Tantrum isn't the most powerful when it comes to like vertical spinners, but Uppercut, it got destroyed by Uppercut, but I don't feel that Mad Catter is like as powerful as Uppercut. And I feel like Gigabyte should be able to tank the shots this time around. So, yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know. But, yeah, now we go into a round of 16 rematch we had from the not round of 16, round of 32 rematch from the 2020 season where Malice got shit on by Gigabyte. But, yeah, now we have our two finalists between Melis and Gigabyte. So, what do you guys have on this one? Who do you think will take it all this bracket?
We kind of saw this already. And, like, this isn't a fully new Malice, and this Gigabyte is better than last year. So, I think I'm gonna go Gigabyte, purely because we've seen it already.
I want to go Malice at this one, but Gigabyte's just a bad matchup for them. Like,
Yeah.
any cone-shaped full-body spinner is just not a good matchup for Malice. Because, like, no matter what weapon Malice goes with, which I feel they'd probably go with the Blackout spinner for this one, or maybe Big Red as well. Oh, because I think those are their primary spinners for when they go up against wedge bots. But yeah, like if these two go weapon on weapon, Malice is probably going to get popped into the air, like what happened last time when they fought Gigabyte. And yeah, and Malice's big shot is going to be the box rush Gigabyte, which is what they tried to do when they fought last time. And Gigabyte just has such a fast spin up time that I don't think that's going to be possible, even though Malice is a fast robot and David Rush is an incredibly aggressive driver. So
Yeah, I have to
yeah.
agree. Gigabyte would probably take this one. I feel like Malice will put up a bigger fight than it did last time, but I feel that just overall, Gigabyte should have this one in the bag. Like, the problem with this is probably Malice's worst opponent to take on ever. Like, I could see Malice beating, like, Sawblaze more than I could see it beating Gigabyte, probably. Because, like, Gigabyte is just a wedge. The only way that Malice is going to lose the win of this fight is if Gigabyte like randomly dies, which I mean it's not. Gigabyte has been like over. Okay, well it did lose to Uppercut. It did lose drive to Uppercut, but that's Uppercut. That's like one of if not the most destructive bot this season. And like Malice is destructive, but I don't think it's as destructive as Uppercut. So yeah, I'm gonna go Gigabyte in this one as well. So yeah, Gigabyte has won the bracket. I honestly was a bit shocked by that, but yeah, Gigabyte has won this bracket. He is our season 6 What If champion. So now it's time to go on to the next part of this, which is the winners bracket.
I have a question.
Yes.
Are we doing the variations the bots were in, like, for when they won the season, or are we just doing, like, their most recent?
Okay, so, like, for example, for like, the Group 1 battle, it's Season 1 Lockjaw. So, like, you have to think of it as, like, Season 1 Lockjaw taking on Season 5 Copperhead and Season 4 Huge. You have Season 3 Yeti, Season 2 Witch Doctor, and Season 6 Gigabyte. So...
Oh, man.
So, what will happen in this bracket is this will be very similar to how the Robot Wars Series 10 Grand Final played out, where we had two Rumbles, two 3-bot Rumbles, and then the winner automatically moves on to the semifinals. The losers go on to one-on-ones, and then we'll have to fight for their spot in the semifinals. So, yeah. So, our first, and then we can just say, in the case of the Rumble, we can just say which bot we think will do worst and which bot we think will do best. The bot that goes worst will go on to, like, for example, the Group 1 battle. The bot that we think does worst will go on to the loser 2 group battle thing. So yeah, so in our group 1 battle we have season 1 Lockjaw, season 5 Copperhead, and season 4 Huge. All these bots were very impressive in their season. Lockjaw, well, Lockjaw had very impressive drive. Copperhead was very destructive, and as was Huge. So what do you guys have on this Rumble?
Okay.
I got one question though.
Yeah.
Is Lockjaw the 2015 version, or is it the recent version?
It's the
basically?
2015 version. It's the 2015 version.
Okay.
I have a
Go
question.
ahead,
I have another question.
Yes.
So it's a 2015 design, but is it like the same version? Like, could we assume there are some upgrades to keep up with the times, or are we just assuming they got the 2015 one and just plopped into 2021?
Okay. You can say that it's like a 2021 quality robot, but it's the same design. If you want.
Either way, though, like, I think Lockjaw's going to do the worst between the three.
Yeah.
I think Huge would win this one.
Yeah, I think it's just gonna get clapped. I mean, on one hand, you
Yeah.
have Huge, who's built to take on four-wheel drive bots like Lockjaw.
Huge is a
on the other hand,
horrible
Copperhead.
Huge is a horrible matchup for Lockjaw, and honestly, Copperhead really is as well, because Lockjaw's not going to win the ground game against Copperhead either, and Lockjaw isn't really built from that version for a robot like Huge. And then between Copperhead and Huge, like, I think just Copperhead being that tiny and stuff, like, I think it'd hold it back, because, like, while I do think they're probably forced to go weapon on weapon with Huge, like, I don't think it'll go well for Copperhead. Like, they definitely have the power in that drum spinner. I think they'll definitely send Huge flying, but if Huge starts hitting that top, like, I think they'll get messed up by those hits on Huge eventually, so.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm going Huge.
So
the thing with Huge versus Copperhead is that I think Huge should win this, but I'm not confident in its weapon this year or its drive and its ability to take hits. I'm gonna go Huge based on the fact I think it would win weapon on weapon contact, but I'm still not confident.
Yeah. So now we go on to our Group 2 battle where we have Season 2 Witch Doctor, Season 3 Yeti, and Season 6 Gigabyte. These are 3 very destructive robots, as you saw Season 2 Witch Doctor absolutely destroy Rotator back in the day. And we saw Yeti absolutely destroy bots like Petunia, Witch Doctor as well. And then we see our recent champion Gigabyte gave us destructive wins against me and yeah. So what do you guys have on this Rumble?
This is where, like, taking account, this is where, like, asking the question, is this upgraded or just 2016 plopped into modern? Because I think if you took Witch Doctor's design and, like, say, made it, like, 2021 quality, I think them paired with Yeti actually having a wedge this time may help it against Gigabyte. Because you have 2 wedges, I feel like they would both go for the horizontal box rush instead of just going against the other vert and just hoping that Gigabyte somehow dies.
Yeah, because if Yeti and Witch Doctor go for each other, I feel like both of them would kill each other, because Witch Doctor would probably win the ground game, in my opinion. But Yeti would probably damage Witch Doctor to the point where it probably won't be in the top shape that it was going into the fight.
But I do think they would both box rush Gigabyte because they're both competent drivers.
Right, like, Gigabyte is probably the biggest threat in this Rumble because of how destructive. So, Green, what's your thought on this?
And that's gonna, like, put a target on its back. Because it's facing 2 wedges with verts.
Yeah, so this one's a tough one to call. Like, definitely a lot tougher than the other one. Currently, my winning pick would probably be Gigabyte for this one. As I like the durability in that full body spinner of Gigabyte. I think they'd be able to take the hits from the season 3 design of Yeti and the season 1 design of Witch Doctor, even if they were upgraded to the current meta, as I feel Gigabyte does have the durability for that. The one I'd probably choose to perform worst, I'd probably say Yeti for that one and stuff. Because, like, Witch Doctor, like, with the plow, they were able to take hits pretty well. The only thing is that they couldn't self-right for that season. And I'm not sure if really either of these robots will be capable of getting a flip on Witch Doctor. So I kind of have to go with Yeti for who I think would perform the worst between those three.
Mantine,
I think I'm gonna have
hold
to
on.
agree with.
Okay, Mantine. Well, I think I just heard what's been said, but Mantine, to catch you up, Gigabyte just won its latest bracket, and we're doing kind of.
I'd like to thank President Barack Obama for this victory. He really guided us through there, got us through that win. I looked at the bracket. I said, "Man, this is doable." You know, all these other shitters, no chance, no chance. So W's only. Thank you.
And then, yeah, we're in a championship bracket now where we're basically discussing. This is kind of like what would happen if these were in like a Robot Wars Series 10 type grand final, where we're currently on a Group 2 battle between Season 2 Witch Doctor, Season 3 and Season 6 Gigabyte. Spin, I think you said your vote was the same as Green's?
Yeah, it is. Same reasoning too. You know, honestly, like Yeti doesn't have the armor, and like I think it just added design loss against 2016 Witch Doctor design. Is it 2015? I don't care.
2016.
It's basically the same thing. It's same thing.
Mantine, which bot do you think would do best in this rumble, and which bot do you think would do worst?
I mean, you know, here's the thing, right? Gigabyte, you know, and hear me out here. Gigabyte's got, you know, that they're either one of them, and I'm assuming it would be Witch Doctor, would try to box rush Gigabyte and then get hit in the ass by Yeti, or they would go.
I think both would box rush Gigabyte, honestly, because they're not.
Well, here's
dumb.
the thing, right? Yeti knows that it can't be Witch Doctor in a one-on-one. Witch Doctor's gonna box rush Gigabyte and then get hit right in the back by Yeti, or they fight each other and Gigabyte gets spins up and wins. Either way, Witch Doctor in season 2 especially doesn't have the power to kill Gigabyte. We know Gigabyte's a lot more reliable this year and take a lot more hits, especially last year too with the Copperhead fight. Even the Hydra fight, it worked the whole time. The Tantrum fight, you know, it took a couple big hits before it stopped working. I feel like even if Witch Doctor got the box rush off, eventually Gigabyte would get time to spin up because the other two would have to end up fighting because Yeti's not going to hold back the whole time. You know, Greg Gibson, especially in this season, very aggressive driver. And I think that even though in the Rumble, it's not going to change. And I think eventually Yeti's going to have to go for Witch Doctor being the main threat in this fight. And I think in that moment, Gigabyte will get the chance to spin up. And once it gets spun up, it's going to let it rip on one of those two. I don't know which one it's going to be. Probably Witch Doctor, who will come off of getting a couple big hits on Yeti. I don't know. I'd say Gigabyte does best. Yeti does worse.
All right, so
I don't want to change my vote, but I don't want to change my vote, but the situation Mantine is describing, I feel like I kind of disagree with. I think it's going to be closer than Mantine is saying.
It's going to be close. Don't get me wrong. I mean, Gigabyte might take a couple hits from Witch Doctor, but this Witch Doctor isn't capable of taking out Gigabyte.
Green Jeff just entered our server.
What's up?
Jeff Waters just got in our server.
Yes.
What was your vote, Spin?
Oh, yeah, same as Green. Gigabyte, then Witch Doctor, then Yeti.
Oh, you guys agreed. Okay, well, then I didn't have to explain all that. I thought you guys were going Witch Doctor. Never mind. I digress.
What? No.
Never mind, then. That was a fucking waste of time. Yeah, I agree with you guys.
Well, it's always nice to hear the full case and stuff, like what Civilian Arc has to tolerate with me in every one of these matchups, so...
Yeah.
Yeah. if Gigabyte gets up to speed, which it will at some point because this is a Rumble, I don't think the season 2 iterations of either of these can handle a real solid shot from this iteration of Gigabyte.
But yeah. So yeah, we now have our 2 loser 1v1s, and yeah, we got a battle. Our first battle is a battle between the 2 devastating drum spinners. We got Season 5 Copperhead and Season 3 Yeti. Both bots very similar weapons, but very, very different designs. As Yeti is a lot more wider and more robust, and it's got those forks. Well, Copperhead's a bit more compact and probably more low to the ground than Yeti is. What do you guys have on this fight?
Well,
I think Copperhead's just gonna win the ground game, or like even if it does, I think anytime it gets a hit in, it's just gonna completely turn the tides of the fight and just win. Like as long as it gets one hit in, I think it's gonna win the fight.
Copperhead, literally all it has to do is sit in place and turn. Yeti can't get under it. The only chance they have is get to the side. Copperhead hits harder, it has better ground game, and it's pretty fucking reliable too usually. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Yeti's
Agreed.
only shot of winning this one is with the forks, and I don't even think that's going to be enough.
Yeah.
Because like what the others said, Copperhead is a really low ground game, and if these two went weapon on weapon, the drum spinners, like Yeti's gonna get fucked by a weapon on weapon shot. They are gonna get sent flying by something like that, and
Yeah.
yeah, I don't think this one's gonna end well for Yeti if these two met,
So
with those two designs.
so Yeti, our season 3 champ,
Big rip for Yeti.
is the first eliminated robot of this championship, and Copperhead moves on to take Gigabyte in a rematch. But now we have the fight between our first 2 What If champions, Lockjaw and Witch Doctor. Lockjaw who did Lockjaw who just lost a Rumble against Fusion, Witch Doctor who just lost a Rumble against Gigabyte. So, and these are back in their early days where they weren't exactly in the toppest tier. They were like when Lockjaw made semifinals in 2018 and when Witch Doctor made finals in 2019. So it's an interesting matchup. What do you guys have on it?
So here's the deal, right? This is the Lockjaw that has like is parlay launcher, right?
This is 2015.
Yes.
No, this is 2015 Lockjaw, where it's like the fucking grabbing forks thing.
Couldn't it lift then too?
Yeah, it
Is
can
that
lift.
right?
Yeah, it can lift. It can lift. Yes.
Okay, well then yeah. I mean, Lockjaw, it's really well driven. We've seen it be very reliable especially in this fight against Yeti. It still has the burning up problems, but this Witch Doctor doesn't have a stream mech. It's got a lot of power.
Wait, wait. Did it have a stream mech in 2016?
No.
Yeah.
Wait, did it?
Yeah, it did. It did, but
What?
so it didn't. Yeah, it had one in the Rumble, and I want to say it had one in the Red Devil fight, but it didn't work.
It did have a stream mech in
Yes,
all
an arm,
of
yeah.
those fights, but then it either wasn't working or it wasn't active in the Red Devil fight. It was working in the Rumble.
Yeah, I know for a fact it was working in the Rumble.
Yes,
Like the
because they did
Rumble-
self-right
Oh.
once.
Oh, this is that version. Okay, well, I can't see it. That's my bad. Okay, well then, yeah. Well, Witch Doctor undoubtedly.
Okay, so your vote is for
Was
Witch
that your
Doctor.
whole argument?
Yeah.
Just Lockjaw flips Witch Doctor?
No, I thought this was the one that was in like Nightmare Overhaul.
Oh.
That remission.
No, this is-
Well, then,
this
yeah,
is-
Witch Doctor's gonna fucking molest him.
Yeah, for context, this is the Lockjaw that was in the Overhaul fight, and this is the Witch Doctor in the Rotator fight.
Okay, well, yeah, then Witch Doctor.
Greenspin, what do you got?
Yeah.
What Mantine said. I think Lockjaw's gonna control for a bit, but I think Witch Doctor will turn the tide and just wreck Lockjaw and not get flipped over on its head and not get and it's gonna self-right is what I'm saying. It's gonna self-right.
The fight won't happen the same way as this one, but I think it'll happen with some similarities to how Minotaur and Sawblaze went down. I think Lockjaw will have some good moments at the beginning, but then it'll be all Witch Doctor from there, like what Mantine and Spin both said. So
Yeah, I'd personally go Witch Doctor as well. So, yeah, our first ever What If champ is down, and Witch Doctor moves on to the semifinals. So now we have our 4 champion semifinalists. We have the Season 6 champ Gigabyte, the Season 5 champ Copperhead, Season 2 champ Witch Doctor, and the Season 4 champ Huge. So, yeah, first fight we got our Bounty Hunters rematch between Copperhead and Gigabyte. And I gotta say, first of all, that fight was fucking amazing. I loved it.
Yeah.
But yeah, both bots have. What are your guys' thoughts on this? I forgot where I was going with that.
Okay, so
This we basically saw both these robots in their prime in that bounty hunter fight. You know, this was like 2 really functional robots. There was no excuses.
Yeah.
It was a really good fight. And I mean, you know, Gigabyte came out on top. I think this would go pretty similar, especially since this is season 6 Gigabyte. You know, I mean, it's only improved from last season.
I mean, this is season 6 Copperhead who would.
No, this is season 5 Copperhead.
No, never mind. Screw that. Yeah, Gigabyte got this hands down.
Yeah,
okay,
absolutely.
hear me out with this one because I'm actually picking Copperhead for this one.
Okay. Well, all right, disregard. So
Hear me out. I don't like. There's one big design change that I don't like on Gigabyte, and that is that they're not exactly cone shaped as much as they were. Copperhead has a better bite that they could get on Gigabyte with that flat edge right there.
That is
And
true.
stuff that I think they could very easily take advantage of. Like,
no, the whole point of this was to stop
Isn't
Copperhead has a better chance to get a
isn't
bigger.
the non-conular supposed to help against drums and
Yeah,
And then
no.
here's the other thing I want to mention too. Like this I've heard might just be a rumor and stuff, but I've heard that it's possible that Copperhead might be using the exact same drum spinner and frame that they used back in their debut season. I'm not sure whether that's true or not, but
I hope it's not. But
if
I
that is true, like, yeah, I don't know for sure whether that's true because that's a rumor. So I have no idea whether that is true.
I
but it
wouldn't
would
be
make
shocked
sense.
if it was.
Yeah.
If it was true, wouldn't that mean just this Copperhead would be season 6 Copperhead? Because we're talking about design-wise.
A little
Like,
bit, but then Copperhead did improve their drive.
Yeah, Copperhead did have
past
a better
few
drive in
seasons and
season
stuff.
six.
The whole point of
But,
this
like,
Gigabyte shell
that's
is
like
that drums
that's something
and
it would
hooves
do to
can't
keep
get
up with
bite
the
on it,
times.
so-
Like, I could make the argument that this Copperhead is the same as season 6 Copperhead because like that's like, changing drive and fixing his weapon would just be something it did to keep up with the times. And if we are saying that like say 2016 Witch Doctor would upgrade that stuff to keep up with the times, but it's the same design, I guess we could argue that Copperhead is season 6, but I'm still going Gigabyte.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm sticking with Copperhead for this one.
Okay,
For the point I made.
So I have
Civilian.
so I have 2 options here. My first option is I can lawyer up Mantine, but my second option is I can go who I think will win and go Copperhead.
I mean, we literally saw it fight, dude. I don't know what else I can say.
I mean, we saw it the fight the first time. Too.
Green does make a good point though that Gigabyte Shell is definitely Copperhead definitely has more of a possibility to get that bite on Gigabyte now. Like,
dude, the shell, literally the entire purpose of it being made was for drums to get less bite. Like it's in the AMA.
That worked. That worked well against Tantrum, didn't it?
My question is, would it work? I mean, you could have a good explanation. You could have it built to specifically counter something, but would it work? Is what I'm asking.
Yeah, I mean, it worked against Tantrum. It beat Tantrum. Tantrum had 2 wheels and was crab walking for 30 seconds, but the fucking rest just didn't count him out. And they gave Gigabyte
do in this thing. Go ahead and keep going, Mantine.
They gave Tantrum damage on all 3 cards like a bunch of fucking idiots. So I guess Tantrum just got the win. I don't know. That judging was shocking. Like,
well, I mean, okay, so regarding the decision,
that wasn't even split confused me.
But if it won damage, that's stupid. It shouldn't have won damage. Tantrum couldn't drive.
This is gonna be funny.
So regarding the decision, I do agree that Tantrum won the decision, but hear me out, Mantine. I say but Tantrum, I do agree that Tantrum should be counted out. Here's the thing. Copperhead is better than Tantrum. Like, I feel like...
Okay, but again...
in
this
terms...
fight happened!
Very debatable.
Yeah, this fight happened and Copperhead won too. I don't know what your point is.
Well, here's the thing. The first fight was Chinesium. They used the fight that they used the thing that they used. They used the mask that they used for the Witch Doctor fight for some fucking reason. I don't know why I said it. The second fight is ideally the robots at the primes.
All right, Pori, who would you go with for Tantrum versus Gigabyte? Or no, not
Yeah.
Gigabyte, Copperhead versus
Oh, you're still doing the podcast?
Yeah.
No, I retired podcast. Sorry. Yeah.
Come on, man. Tell us who you think would win.
Wait, between who?
Between
season-
Gigabyte and Copperhead.
Oh my god. We literally saw this fight, Pori. I can't do
Bro,
this bad.
okay, hold on, Pori, hear us out, okay? Hear us out first. Okay, so, you know how Gigabyte has updated its shell, to have, like, less of a dome-shaped
They still have the old one. The old one is still, like, an option.
Yeah, they're strategists. I mean, God, why are you having me on this? I don't want to do a fucking podcast. I retired.
Hold on, Mantine.
I quit
We
Battlebots.
literally saw the fight. Just go with what facts and
Bro.
logic say.
Bro, come
literally
on.
just
You
Pori, listen to your heart.
No. You literally baited me.
Green baited you and voted
podcast
Gigabyte. Green baited you and voted Gigabyte. Green baited you and voted Gigabyte.
You literally baited me into a podcast to answer a matchup question that was literally answered a year ago.
Green baited you and voted Gigabyte, so vote Copperhead and
Thank
Revenge.
No.
Green baited you and voted Copperhead. Green baited you and voted Gigabyte. Go Copperhead and Revenge.
Pori, listen to me. We know how this fight goes.
Go Copperhead and Revenge, Pori.
Say Gigabyte and leave. Say Gigabyte and leave. That's all you have to do. You can be free.
Bro, take revenge on Green. He voted Gigabyte. Take revenge and vote
listen to your heart.
Green's been
Don't let
pretty
these
good
two guys.
to me, to be honest.
Exactly.
I'm sorry,
Green's a
Pori.
good- Green's a good
Civilian
one.
Arc told me to do it. So.
No, I fucking did not.
Civilian Arc told you to do it.
That
That
is
Gigabyte,
that is a lie. Green.
It's a Gigabyte. So.
Suck dick, idiots. We're back. Yeah, baby. Let's go.
Oh, I'm sorry, Pori.
Yeah,
Let's go.
I just thought it'd be funny if I did that.
Where's the sorry to me? Where's the sorry to me? You pinned it all on me.
Let's go, baby.
Said he'd vote Gigabyte either way.
Okay, so now Gigabyte moves on to take on the winner between Witch Doctor and Huge.
We really need to discuss this one.
No.
Yeah, I mean, can we just fast forward to?
Can we just say Gigabyte won the whole thing and call it a day? Cool, thanks.
I'd probably.
I mean, we saw
pick
Huge
Gigabyte
versus
for.
Gigabyte already, so like.
But Gigabyte has a
Man.
different driver this time around, I think.
So let me explain this one to you. First of all, Brent Riker's a fucking idiot. I'm sorry. Love you, Brent. You're a terrible driver. John Mladic,
Yeah, I
much
agree.
better. Doesn't drive into the walls. 10 out of 10. Would recommend. This version of Gigabyte's also more reliable. It wouldn't get killed by literally just running into the wall, lol. And yeah, I think it would be able to pretty.
I mean, you say that, but have we seen Gigabyte just run into a wall at full speed? I don't.
Yes, we have. In the SME fight, it ran into the wall against full speed, and it also jumped off. It literally jumped off of the shelf.
Damn,
onto
Manteed's going huge.
No, what the fuck? No.
Wow, I can't
the
believe he's
SME fight,
moving on
it literally
huge. That's
jumped
crazy, insane.
In the SME fight, it literally hit the wall and ricocheted off, and then spun back up and fucking eviscerated it. So I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying now. Wait, isn't Brett Riker on the
Gigabyte.
Cobalt team?
Yes, and
Yeah,
but he's
yeah.
not driving, thank God. Matt Maxim is driving. Shout out to Matt Maxim.
Imagine if Brent started driving Cobalt, and while Matt Maxim's still.
Cobalt would
there.
be 0-3, dude. We saw it.
It would have lost to Ghost Raptor.
But yeah, that
Gigabyte wins. Thank you guys for watching. I'll be back.
Yeah, that pretty much closes out the What If episode. But so yeah, be sure to check out Green and Man,